Welcome guys. Today we're going to be starting our walnut live edge rustic bed. For the post I'm going to be using some rustic cherry. Again, keyword rustic. We're going to keep this as natural and kind of as primitive as we can. So let's get started. We've got a lot of work to do. Okay, so first off, let's get these slabs cut. The length of the slab is going to be completely determined by what size bed that you're going to be making. I'm actually making a queen size bed. I'll throw all my dimensions on my cut list into the description, but if you're making anything any smaller or larger, just take that into consideration. You can find the dimensions online for any size bed. And now we're into sanding. To be honest, I cannot stand sanding, so we're going to speed this up a little bit. We're going to go outside. I'm going to throw a sanding disc onto an angle grinder. This is going to help take out a lot of the large saw marks left in by the bandsaw. If you have a router sled for cutting this down, go for it, but I wanted to keep a rustic look to this. I wanted some of these saw marks. Did not want to take out all of the character. Can't get out of all of the sanding because I do need to clean this up inside, starting with a 120, working my way all the way up to 600, water popping it here, and then another round of 600 grit just to get that nice smooth finish that we're looking for. As far as the legs, I'm using cherry. These are 4x4s, true 4x4s. I want to keep a lot of the saw marks. I want to keep the natural rustic look. Again, I'm going for this primitive, kind of rustic feel. So whenever I'm cleaning it up here, I'm trying not to knock off all of the saw marks, just cleaning up a lot of the loose dirt. However, I do need to have two flat edges on this, and you can achieve this in a couple of different ways. I chose to use a joiner, but you need two flat edges. One side is going to be to actually attach the headboard or footboard to, but you also need the two flat edges for making your square cuts for the length of your legs for the headboard and the footboard. Alright, so now we're going to get into our final sanding on the legs. I have the two square edges, and now I'm just taking it down to whatever I like. Again, this is going to be everyone's preference. I wanted the rustic. I wanted to take off less, basically. You can take off as much as you want. Now I'm just kind of laying everything out on my workstation and getting it all squared up. As you can see, I've laid out a couple of 2x4s to actually set the headboard on, and this will actually raise it up and actually meet in the center of this, of my two legs that I'm using for this project. The height of the headboard will actually depend on your mattress, your bed, so you may ought to measure that beforehand, but I'll throw everything into the description, like I said, as far as what I set mine at. Now what I will need, and what I'm doing here, is I'm needing a straight line, and this is one of the important parts of having a square edge on the inside of that 4x4. I need a straight line to mark the inside of my legs. That way I know that it is perfectly straight and perfectly square. What I'm doing here is just measuring out my spacing for my screws that I'm going to be putting into the side. About 1.5 inches apart is what I spaced these. And there I just checked my depth to find the center of the headboard, and I'm marking that depth on the outside of my legs. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm actually going to be drilling my 3/4 of an inch set holes, because I have plugs for that. So whenever I get to the drill press, I'll be set up and all ready to go. So since I'm using a 4-inch screw for this project, I'm actually going to set my drill press to actually go the depth of about an inch and a half. That'll give me plenty of grab onto my material, and I'm also going to be gluing all of this up. Again, that was a 3/4 inch fastener bit. Now that everything is square, you see I'm using my 2 T-squares there to make sure everything is square to my table. We're ready to start putting some screws in. I actually have my workpiece clamped down. That way, whenever these screws start to go in, I do not lose my square. Actually, a very important part there. This is the 4-inch screw that I was talking about. I'm going to go ahead and flip that, add my glue in, sink these screws in pretty deep there. Repeat for the other side. Clamp down, and again with that glue you can just make a little mark with the pencil at the top of the headboard. You'll see me do it here, there, and then just put your glue line right below it. Alright, now that we have it all screwed together, I'm actually going to cut my dowels that I'll be using as my plugs. I wanted these plugs to be a little different color than the material itself, or I would have made plugs out of that material. So since that was cherry legs and walnut backboard, I'm actually going to use a walnut stain for this plugs. Found it a lot easier just dipping it in there and wiping it off versus, you know, trying to brush that on. A little bit of glue, and to be honest, I could not find my hammer, so little tappity tap with a piece of wood works out perfect. Just make sure that your grains are lined up. Wipe off your excess glue there. Now it's time for the footboard, and basically we're going to be repeating everything that we've done for our headboard except for our height of the slab itself. Again, I'm just finding my my straight line. That way I know my distance from the bottom of my legs to that straight line versus to the bottom of the board, because the board again is live edge, and I did not cut a square bottom, you know, on my slab. So all of the exact same processes of you know, that we use for the headboard we'll be using for this. Again, line, glue, 4-inch screws, and plugs. Alright, there is our footboard. Starting to come together. Now we're going to look at getting our finish on. You can use any type of finish. Here I'm just using a little bit of mineral oil just to clean everything up, take off any little dust particles that may have stuck to it. And I'm actually just using a Minwax urethane. You can choose the different glosses, you know, whatever gloss that you want. I'm kind of using a semi-gloss here. You can use any type of finish that you would like, you know, be it a urethane, water-based, oil-based, however, you know, that's again completely up to you. And for my railing, I'm actually using 1x6 walnut for my railing, and I'm going to be putting it on with pocket holes. My railing is going to be a little bit different because my bed, actually the mattress, sits on its own stand, so this is just going to be going around it. So if you have a bed that actually sits on rails, then you would need to get a rail kit to actually put into the legs for this. So what I'm doing is just measuring up on my headboard and footboard to determine where I want my rails to attach. So after I've decided that, I've just cut a couple pieces of scrap to that height and laying everything out to see how everything's going to look. Once I get it exactly the way that I want it, I'll get everything assembled just for a mock-up, before I actually dismantle and assemble in place. As you can see, those blocks that I cut are coming in very handy, extra set of hands, and it is allowing me to lay this out perfectly level and perfectly square. Alright, so after everything is installed, this is how she looks. Beautiful rustic farmhouse live edge bed, one of a kind. Alright guys, so if you like this video, make sure to smash that subscribe button and follow for more.